Are you thinking about making a move to the Tampa Bay area? You're maybe thinking that you like to be a little bit closer to the beaches, but maybe not right in the downtown of Tampa or St. Petersburg or any of those kinds of areas. Well, if you're thinking the same as me, you might like or be thinking about moving over to Palm Harbor, Florida. So today we are going to talk all about the good, the bad, the pros and the cons of Palm Harbor. And I'm going to give you a couple of very interesting things to think about and to consider before you make the move. So stick with me and let's get into it. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about the St. Petersburg, Tampa Bay area, then make sure to subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you get notified of any market changes. My name is Gina, and my team and I have been helping people just like you move to the Tampa Bay area for the last 11 years, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to make a move in the next 3 days or as many as 3 years, give us a call or an email. We'd love to help you make a stress-free move to the Tampa Bay area. All of our information is below, and you can reach out to us at any time. Okay, so let's get into this. We are talking about Palm Harbor, Florida. Palm Harbor is located on the Pinellas County side. It is north of St. Petersburg and west of Tampa. It is found between the Curlew Road and the Klosterman Road, and between the Gulf of Mexico and the Tampa Bay waters. So you can definitely see it takes up the whole area on the map, but it is full of all kinds of things to do and see, and we're going to talk about that today with our pros and cons, and we're going to jump right into it. And I'm going to start you off with my number one pro of living in Palm Harbor. Okay, my first pro for living in Palm Harbor is the amazing fishing. Now, you might be surprised to hear me say that, but if you are thinking of moving to Palm Harbor and you pick an area up on the northeast side, it is going to border an area called Lake Tarpon. It's a huge freshwater lake, and this lake is known as one of the top 10 bass fishing lakes. There are tons of bass fish in this lake, and you're not going to be shy of having a great day out on the water if that is something that you like to do. So if fishing is kind of your jam and you want to live somewhere where you can go out and do that kind of thing on a freshwater lake and also have the opportunities to obviously fish out of the Gulf or any of the other small streams and lakes around the Palm Harbor area, then this is definitely one of the pros of living in Palm Harbor because it's technically right in your backyard. Okay, we are jumping right on to pro number two. Pro number two is for all of you golf fans out there. Palm Harbor is the home of Innisbrook Resort. And if many of you follow pro golf or know anything about golf, you will know that the Valspar Championship is held here every single year. And it is usually in the March timeframe. You can come and see your favorite pro golfers play. It's a beautiful course. It's located on the north end of Palm Harbor, right before you get into Tarpon Springs. It is just exquisite grounds and a great area also to head out afterwards, have a bite to eat, or do something fun. It's a great spot if you like to watch golf, play golf, or any of the above that has to do with golf. Why not live near one of the most awesome places for pro golf? Okay, my number three pro is for all of my families out there. Palm Harbor is one of the areas that actually has a ton of great, highly rated schools. You can look at any of the online informational pages like bestschools.org or niche.com, or you can even directly go to the Palm Harbor City website, and you'll just find that there's tons of elementary schools, high schools, and you can go to any of the public websites as well. They are usually always rated very high, and they are pretty much spread out throughout the whole Palm Harbor area, so you're not going to have to go far to get into a really good school. Okay, and that leads me directly into pro number 4, because this is also one of my favorite parts about Palm Harbor, because it's so family friendly, which is my pro number 4. Palm Harbor is more of a residential style community. And when you think of Palm Harbor as a whole, one whole entire section on the east side is more like residential. You're going to see a lot of more spread out properties. There's a lot of gated communities or deed restricted communities. There's homes where you have the wide streets, the wide sidewalks, small parks intermingled in between communities. You have where on the west side, you have like the more beach style feel, where it's a little bit more Florida style, where maybe the east side of Palm Harbor is a little more updated or newer, and then like a newer community type, where the west side is a little bit more old school Florida. It's just like that more beachy feel, the more smaller homes, but you still have that large amount of land or yard for playing or doing all those types of things. The other cool part about it being a family-friendly area is that, like I've mentioned in a ton of my other videos, you are next to the Pinellas County Trail, which is always a great spot to bike, run, walk, anything and everything that you want to do there. And there's a ton of great parks in Palm Harbor. I mean, let's talk about them. You're nearby. If it's not in Palm Harbor, you're nearby them. So one of the ones that comes to my mind first is you have Wall Springs Park, you have Hop Stansell Park, which is more on the west side. You have A.L. Anderson Park, which is a great spot to go. That has a ton of like little playgrounds and things like that. And you also are very close to the probably extremely well-known Fred Howard Park, where there's a ton of spots to walk and bike and trail walk, and then you have a huge beach area. So there's a bunch of parks, a bunch of family-friendly things to do. There's also a lot of little communities and quaint like areas where you can take the kids to play, or if you just want to go out for a dinner, there's like, little plaza sections where you can grab a quick bite to eat, and it's kind of all convenient. So that is one thing to know about Palm Harbor that I wouldn't say is as true for a lot of the other areas, but definitely a great thing to know about this area. Okay, now with that being said, we're going to talk about our last pro, and that is that Palm Harbor is very residential, but you still do have somewhat of a beach vibe if you head west. So when you look at the map of Palm Harbor, on the east side of alternate 19, so you have the main highway, which goes up and down through Palm Harbor, is Highway 19. On the west side, you have another highway which goes north and south, and that's alternate 19. Now, alternate 19 is where you're going to find your beachy area. Obviously, you're closer to the Gulf, you're closer to where all the beaches are, but even though Palm Harbor doesn't have a distinctive beach, let's say, you do have a beachy vibe all up and down alternate 19. As soon as you head east, more towards the other side of Palm Harbor, towards Lake Tarpon and Highway 19 and Tampa that way, you're really just getting into a lot of residential, a lot of plazas, things like that. So the cool thing about it is it's not one or the other. You definitely have both worlds to enjoy. Okay, so now we're going to jump into our cons. Now, since I was just talking about the beach, let's talk about that as our first con, because that was con number 1. And that is that Palm Harbor doesn't really have any beaches. So if you're a beach lover, a beach goer, you're going to have to go north or south to really hit a really great beach. So there is a beach in Palm Harbor, which is called Crystal Beach. And it's beautiful, where you can walk and enjoy the sand and the water. But if you're looking for more of a traditional style beach where you have more space, or you want that larger sand area, you're either going to have to head north to Sunset Beach, or even a little bit more north into Tarpon Springs and go to the Howard Park Beach. Both of these are awesome beaches and totally family friendly, so you're not going to miss out doing that. If you live on the south end of Palm Harbor, then one of your best options is heading into Dunedin and going to Honeymoon Island Beach, which, as we all know, and you may start to learn, is that is one of the most popular beaches and areas around. So you may get a little bit more tourists there at some parts of the year, but it's definitely accessible if you live down there and you want more of a traditional style beach. All right, we're going to jump into con number 2. Now, you could probably tell from the map that Palm Harbor is a pretty big area. And with that being said, I wouldn't consider Palm Harbor very walkable. So that would be a con number 2. If you do live in Palm Harbor, you're most likely going to always be driving somewhere. You could probably bike, but you're definitely going to be biking on more of a larger road type than like smaller trails or back roads sort of thing. So a car is really something that you're going to want, because most areas, like I said, are those residential communities, which are either deeded or gated, or they're just a community where to get in and out of them, you have to basically drive in and out of them to get to like a small plaza where you might want to go shopping for, food, or to get to your medical or the doctor or something like that. And because it spans from one end of Pinellas County on the east all the way to the other end on the west, you definitely have that large gap where you're going to need some way to get from one end to the other. So just know that if you really want to walk around, Palm Harbor is probably not the place that you're going to want to go. Okay, now with that being said, that leads us right into con number 3, which is that because Palm Harbor does have a lot more communities, and because most of them are either deeded or gated, which can be really great, a lot of that comes with HOA fees or homeowners association or CDD fees. And anytime you say the word fee, it's not always the most popular, word in the English language, but you're just gonna have to know that because you have these types of communities that have more restrictions or that are gated and have a lot more types of rules, which I wouldn't say that a lot of the communities are bad in any way having these. They just have them. Where like a place like St. Pete or Largo, or let's say, or even Clearwater, they don't have as many gated communities or deeded restricted communities. So you're not going to see as many fees down in that area. But in Palm Harbor, you have more of those. So that's just something to consider. Most times, even if you don't live in a townhome or a condo and you do choose to live in a single family home or even a really large home on the beach, a lot of these areas are going to have an HOA or CDD fee, and that's just something to keep in mind because sometimes they can be a little bit higher. So just keep it in mind and do your research, and we can always help you out with that as well. Okay, so let's talk about our last 2 cons. Number 4 con is that Palm Harbor actually doesn't really have a downtown. Now, if you look this up online, it will actually say, come to downtown Palm Harbor. But if you actually go to where they say downtown Palm Harbor is, there isn't really a downtown. And I can show you what I mean. This area is basically just a few streets wide. It's between Florida and Nebraska Avenue and Alternate 19 and Omaha Street. And the way you're going to identify this is you're going to see a couple restaurants and breweries and things around here, like the Thirsty Marlin, Fireside Pizza, and Divine Brewing Company, which is basically a cool place to hang out if you want to eat and drink and do those types of things. But I wouldn't really call it a downtown area because you'll probably be done pretty soon as you do a couple of those eateries and brewers and things like that. So if you're looking for a downtown, like a actual downtown where you can walk and shop and eat and view and people watch, you're either going to be heading up to Tarpon Springs or down to Dunedin. Those are probably going to be your closest spots for a real downtown feel. So just keep in mind that even though I would say Alternate 19 up and down has a feeling of like a town where you can stop and hang out, you're really going to still have to drive to and from these different places, whereas like in a traditional downtown, you can just park and walk around and basically spend the whole day there. So I guess one of the things about Palm Harbor is that because it's so residential and spread out, you don't really have a official downtown. Okay, and my very last con, and this is by no means to freak you out, because I'm sure as soon as I say this, some of you are going to be like, what? But Palm Harbor is a little bit more well-known for sinkholes. And Florida in general, is on sand, right? So there's going to be sinkholes in a lot of different areas in Florida. So it is something that you should always think about if you're going to live here. But as you get to certain areas of Florida, they're just a little bit more well-known to be in those spots. So Palm Harbor is teetering on the edge of areas that are more prone to sinkholes. Now, I have not heard of anything crazy in Palm Harbor happening recently. I think the last time there was a sinkhole was, that was like on the news was in 2021, if I remember, and then not for like almost 10 years before that. So it's not like these things happen all the time and there's something that you need to really be concerned about. This is always something where if you find a property or you're looking at an area, we can do the research and help you determine what's going on, what you should look for, what you should get inspected. But that's one of the reasons why inspecting a house before you buy is always a good idea, because sometimes you can really dig in and find out what's going on with the land, what's going on with the property, and get some really good information about that. Just so that you know, to ease your mind a teeny bit, some of the communities or counties in the area that are more prone to sinkholes are right above in Pasco or over to the east in Hillsborough, which tend to have a little bit more activity than Palm Harbor. So I don't want to freak you out by this last con, but just something to keep in mind, because I wouldn't tell you this as much if you were going down towards St. Pete or Clearwater or Largo or down there, because they don't have as much activity as we see a little bit more north. So that's my con number 5. Hopefully it didn't freak you out and that it helped you out instead. Okay, that was it. That was our 5 pros, 5 cons of living in Palm Harbor. I hope that was super helpful. If you've been to Palm Harbor, tell me about it below. I would love to hear what you think about it. And if you do have any questions, always throw those below. My team and I would love to answer them for you and help you out. And as always, I hope to see you next time. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Bye.